Excellent. That's pretty much it coming default inside of our settings here. The rest of this is from plugins. And so we don't have to worry too much about it. If you want to just browse through them, you can. In fact, actually, let's do that now, because these will be important for setting up our websites to make sure. I know that we are already in here on EasyWP SMTP to make sure that we have our email set correctly in there. We've already been in there. So here's the cookies message that pops up when somebody views your website. Explaining cookies again, they're basically a file that saves to everybody's computer, and it saves information that your server requires to be able to know what they've done, maybe what program, what things they might have added to the cart, what they viewed, and things like that. And that's saved to the person's computer. So next time they go to your website, it loads up that information faster. And that's really what a cookie does. So you can change the message here and what the button says. Okay, you can have accept, whatever that is, to the cookie message. Okay, if you have a cookie policy, we're going to actually have a terms and conditions and privacy policy. Normally that cookie information is within those, so you can actually click read more here and or view our terms and conditions, and then you can have a link to the page. So if I click page link, and I can search down here for where I have the terms and conditions, which I'm going to show you how to add that to your site. Okay, right now I'm just going to uncheck here. By default, whenever somebody buys a product or to sign up for an account, especially when they buy a product, they have to agree to the terms and conditions anyways. Also, normally when somebody clicks OK, you can say, by clicking OK, you agree to the usage of cookies on the website. Okay. And this here script blocking thing, if you're a programmer, you probably know what to do here. I would leave it. I don't think it's a huge issue, and we can always you can always go and read up on this if you're really interested in what script blocking is. Remember that WordPress has a very good documentation. I'm just going to leave this blank for now. Okay, enable cookie notice acceptance when users scroll. I'm unchecking that because I'm just going to leave that unchecked. It's just, hey, if they scroll down, it automatically accepts it. I'm not really keen on that. I'd rather them just click the button if they want. A cookie expiry, this is how long that file will sit on the person's computer for before deleting. So you can always change that, especially if you're doing something that is very dynamic. You might not want the cookie to be very long, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, if person clears their history out in their browser, so they go up in here and they can go to the history tab, which it won't have it in there. I'm on a private browsing window, but you'll see history. You can clean out your histories and your cookies through there, and that will delete this cookie anyways. So a person can control that at their end on their browser. Okay, script placement. So this here is really interesting. It is best to put a script on the footer. I'll tell you why. You want your website to load fast as possible. So when you have JavaScript, there are a whole bunch of programs basically that run live on your site as you're going, and they take up a lot of space and a lot of time it takes to load. So what you want to do is you want your page to load fast and then all that stuff to load after. And it's fine if it loads after, but at least it gets the person information quicker before anything, and it does help your page load faster. It's a better place to put scripts. So I choose footer. Okay, and this here is kind of important. It really is up to you. If you remove a plugin, normally it has database information and information that has been collected. And when you deactivate that, that doesn't necessarily delete that information. It saves it there. This forces the data to be deleted when it's deactivated. I would recommend not checking that. And the reason why is, for whatever reason, if something breaks on your website and you've deactivated it, now you've lost all that information in the background. I would only ever check this off if you know a plugin has caused issues and its information has caused issues. Then you can click on this, save it, deactivate the plugin, it deletes everything, come back in here and uncheck this again and save it, because you don't want to continue doing that for other plugins. Okay, so that's how I would handle that. I would normally do this design thing, just leave it as default. It looks like this cookie notice thing is part of the template, by the way, and so I would just leave this default. Okay, but you can change the colors of it here if you wish, and that's the little pop-up that pops up. So text color, bar color, so you can just click on that and change it. Okay, again, that's part of the theme, and so you can do that. I'm just going to save the changes here because I did make some. Excellent. We've already done easy WP SMTP. I'm just going to quickly hover over that. Okay, so this is the information we already set when we did the email, and that's how everything gets emailed out. And remember, your from email address is what customers see. Now, sometimes some people put, say, no info at, but really it's actually coming from this email address. So either way, you can do it. I like to use the info at. It's just a lot nicer. SoundCloud, well, I don't even know why we would ever need to use that on this, but if for whatever reason you're linking to SoundCloud and have some audio coming in, you can do that. I'm skipping that because we don't have that. This is another plugin that was installed automatically, an infinite scroll. So if you've ever used, a good example of that is Pinterest. In Pinterest, when you scroll down, it just keeps on loading new Pinterest things that person has pinned. What that does is it doesn't load them all at once. Like, let's say the person has got 1,000 pins that they've done. Well, it's really stressful for a server to load all of that at once. So what it does is it loads the page, and then as the users scroll down, it goes to the database and it says, hey, I want more information. The person wants to see more. It goes to the database and gets maybe 25 or 30 more, and it brings it in and it puts it on the page, and then the person scrolls down more, and it continues doing that just to make it easier on the database. And it also is very nice. So in here, I would leave this default. I think it's really nice, but you can make some information or some settings in here that makes it a little bit more user intuitive, that makes it a lot nicer, like animations and things. You can have a load more button or anything like that. I wouldn't fiddle with this too much unless you know what you're doing. Okay, you might want to, maybe if you wanted to change these little icons and stuff like that, or images, feel free to do it. Again, keep it simple, leave it default. There's not a whole lot you really need to worry about on here. Maybe changing the loading message, we're getting you more products, or we're getting you more of, and put your brand name there or something like that. You can do stuff like that. It's fine. Okay, and the SSL, we've already done that too when we added the security, this HTTPS bit at the top. Okay, and so that was this. Okay, so that's it for the WordPress settings. I know this is a really long video. I really appreciate your patience on this one. It is kind of in depth, but it's sort of the core. It's the core of WordPress to make sure that you have everything that you need to have those settings and understand what they are and how they affect your website. The only other place here is tools. You won't really be using these too much unless you have for instance, a theme that's a little bit more difficult to install. You would go in here and do some extra stuff, but really we won't be using the tools too much unless really you've got more advanced techniques that you want to do in WordPress. For what we're doing, we don't need to worry about it. So that concludes this video, and thank you. Hopefully we'll see you on the next video.